We're back, baby. What's up, guys? I just scared Tomas.
After all of the hecticness that is moving into a brand new place, a place where I don't got to worry about if I'm being too loud, a place where I get to sit in an actual chair, not break my back on a bed.
There you go.
Springing out of control. And that's another story for another time. Here we are. I'm back. We're back.
We are back. We're about to get crazy here because we're looking at No Way Out 2004, which takes place from close to our neck of the woods, Tomas, at the world-famous Cow Palace in I almost said Sacramento, San Francisco, in California. I know the Cow Palace is there. The Ren Fair is there all the time. So, yeah Cow Palace.
Crazy how far we've come because WWE could and would never run a show here at the Cow Palace. It is a terrible location. It is way too small. It is broken down. I've seen some independent places run some great shows there, but that is not a venue for WWE anymore.
No.
And just seeing that back in the day was just like, wow, we've come a long way from WrestleMania being at the Allstate Arena in Chicago. And now WrestleMania is in nothing but stadiums. And to kind of kick things off the bat, I have a very sentimental story when it comes to this show. I know this show like the back of my hand, literally we were even texting the other day and I was just recalling spots and I wasn't even watching the show. I just know this show so freaking well. And there is a reason for that. So when I was a kid, this was in 2004. So I was 10 years old. We're still at the age of, we believe in Santa Claus. We believe in the Easter Bunny. And at this particular Easter, I stayed up all night to catch the Easter Bunny or find out what he was going to give me in the morning. And I think I stayed up until like 2 a.m. that Easter, still looking over at my TV because that's where like they would set the presents, the baskets. And still there was nothing there. Like every 30 minutes, I'd poke my head over there, nothing there. I want to say it was 6 a.m. I woke up, still nothing there. So my mom woke up and I said, Mom, the Easter Bunny didn't come. Like there's nothing there. There's nothing near the TV. And that's when she sat me down and she said, I think it's finally time for you to know the truth. And that's that there is no Easter Bunny. It's true. It's the parents. We're the one to leave you the presents. And then before I get into the ending of this story, I remember wanting this pay-per-view so bad for Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship, as we'll talk later on in this show. And we had a rule at my house that was you couldn't get 2 pay-per-views in a row. Because remember, these things were like $50 a pay-per-view. So
$50 a pop, and you're paying it every single month. It's certainly not a bargain like $9.99. But you know what? I'm actually like surprised that your mom just sat you down and told you that the Easter Bunny was just a gimmick. But I thought you already knew that because the Easter Bunny appeared in that APA Battle Royal at Vengeance.
Yeah, I thought he was working overtime that night.
He's a gimmick,
But I remember because, like we talked about last month, I ordered the Royal Rumble for Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And I wanted to see that Royal Rumble, the one that Chris Benoit won. And then when I found out Eddie was challenging Lesnar for the championship, I begged for that pay-per-view. But our rule kept in effect of you can't get it. And I think I did the whole, I hate you. You're not going to let me get this. And especially said, you're going to get WrestleMania next month. Sorry, you're not going to get No Way Out.
Mm-hmm.
So with that all said, right there, my mom said, okay, I feel bad for telling you, number one, that he's not real. I also feel bad that you couldn't get that pay-per-view last month. And she presented to me on VHS, No Way Out 2004, that iconic poster of Eddie Guerrero that says wanted for lying, cheating, and stealing with that smug-ass look on his face. I didn't care. All was forgiven. I didn't even care that the Easter Bunny wasn't real. The first thing I did is I popped that baby into the VCR. I think an hour later, my brother woke up, and I think he said the same thing, like, where's our present? I said, hey, look, we got No Way Out on 2004 on VHS. We sat down in front of the TV, and I swear I watched that videotape every single day. That was my first.
You fell asleep to No Way Out 2004.
I did. With the exception of the WrestleMania 18 DVD, which was something that we borrowed, this was the first wrestling tape I owned. So, this was before Peacock. This was before all the streaming services you could watch wrestling online. We got wrestling at our fingertips nowadays. But back then, it was either wait for Monday and Thursday for Raw and SmackDown, or get a videotape. And this is the only other source of wrestling I had. So I watched that thing. I swear, I'm surprised I didn't break the tape because I watched it that much. And yeah, so whenever I think about this pay-per-view, or wherever I watch this pay-per-view, literally all those memories start flooding back. And I know the show like the back of my hand. Like,
there you go.
I don't know it hold for hold, but the big spots, the big angles, what was going on in this show, man, I can't believe my 10-year-old self had the attention span to watch Eddie and Lesnar as much as I did, because that was, can't wait to get into that.
It's a marathon of a match for sure. Tomas, I mean, that's an amazing story. I mean, like, that sounds to me like WrestleMania 18 was to me. I know that show like the back of my hand, and I would watch that VHS tape over and over again. I did own this show. I still own this show in my wrestling collection that is somewhere in the bowels of my house, and I do have this on DVD.
Is somewhere, but then again, we can just pop it in on Peacock. I'm not going to dust off a VHS tape player to watch No Way Out 2004.
Yeah.
And speaking of, all nostalgia aside, this pay-per-view is a bunch of filler with 3, like, I don't want to say main events, but 3 matches that are worth watching. And this thing opens up with in my opinion, probably one of the worst pay-per-view openings.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just set the stage for you real quick. So No Way Out 2004, SmackDown was shifting drastically because lest we forget that the Royal Rumble winner decided to switch shows. Because we all assumed that Chris Benoit was going on to face Brock Lesnar or something like that for the title at Mania. But no, Benoit shifts over to Raw, and he's challenging Triple H for the world title, as we'll talk about, which left a huge opening on SmackDown for a main event of WrestleMania, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, it's so strange. So there's no pyro at the beginning of this stream when we turn it on. Sable's music hits. And her and Tori Wilson come to the ring because apparently there's no women's match on this show. SmackDown was not known for women's wrestling.
No, they were known for Cruiserweight wrestling, while the Raw side got a women's championship.
Yep.
Different times, ladies and gentlemen, different times.
Definitely, definitely very different times. But yeah, so they basically come out and say, hello, San Francisco, we love the sightseeing, and now you guys get to do some sightseeing. And I'm like, okay.
This segment was for the horny bastards and for the horny bastards alone, because I remember as a kid seeing this, and even as an adult thinking, what was the point? Sable and Tori Wilson have recently graced the cover of Playboy, and they had 2 different covers, one with Sable on top and Wilson on the bottom, and one vice versa. I look at that nowadays and go, what's the difference? They just want your money. They just want you to buy 2 issues instead of 1. Because
it's the same, not that I would know, but I feel like it's the same freaking magazine. So,
yeah,
and exactly. I mean, you got to start building up that angle with Stacy Keibler at WrestleMania, right?
Oh, yeah. And if you want a really embarrassing story, there was a comic book store in my local mall, and I remember going there one time, and I remember seeing the issue
of no
Wilson on it, but it was plastic wrapped. And my little horny ass 9-year-old self thought, what if I just opened the plastic real quick and just like took a peek in there to see what I can see? Wrestling was not for kids in 2002.
No clothes on anybody. Sickening. Yeah.
Anywho,
but
once we got that awkward intro out of the way, we get a quick video package of Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar that is highlighting the show for the WWE Championship.
So
more
good.
On that feud later. Yeah, more on that feud later because it's going to get referenced a couple of times. We are opening up with a WWE Tag Team title match, but not just any normal WWE Tag Team title match.
That's right.
It's a 3-on-2 handicap match for the Tag Team titles. Rikishi and Scotty Hotty, who just won the Tag Team titles 3 nights prior on an episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
Taking on the Basham brothers, Doug and Danny, and Shaniqua. Yes, this is an intergender 3-on-2 handicap match for the Tag Team titles. And my only other question is, other than the build-up to this match, would be, what if Shaniqua got the pin? Who would be the tag team champions? Would she
actually
give the Bashams? Would she pick her favorite?
You know, Taz actually posed an interesting point because as the Bashams were getting their heat on Scotty Too Hotty, of course, because Scotty was as the smaller man, he had to be the heat man, and Rikishi was the one to get the hot tag, of course. But while the Bashams were getting the heat, Taz was like, you know, what if the Bashams actually win this one? Do they bring back the Freebird rule? He actually does say Freebird rule. And in an alternate universe, before the New Day would ever make it popular again, what if the Bashams actually won this match? Like,
that's an issue of what if that I hope WWE never brings up.
Especially with the Bashams gimmick that they had at this time being...
You have to wait another whole 10 years, 10, 11 years before the Freebird rule finally got brought back. But the other issue we have with this match is, again, I remember that episode of SmackDown where Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty won the tag team titles, and they got a huge pop for winning the titles. Mm-hmm. Why not save that for the pay-per-view?
Exactly, and then they could pin Shaniqua or something like that. They could win the titles. I mean, it would kind of put like an asterisk on that victory and like the feel-good moment, I guess, because as they were walking to the ring, they were like, "Oh yeah, Rikishi and Scotty have been teaming for like 5 years," even though it was actually Scotty and Grandmaster Sexay for that long.
They were a part of a faction, but
yeah.
I don't think Rikishi. This was the first time Rikishi and Scotty ever won the tag team titles.
Yeah, and it was a feel-good moment and everything like that. So I feel like they did it on SmackDown only so they could actually, have that feel-good moment and not have it like, have a little asterisk there because they pinned the woman.
Yeah, and and if that's the case, I really don't see why Shaniqua needed to be involved in this match. This match, I mean, there was really nothing special about it. It was your basic tag team match. Shaniqua did get in there a couple of times, and if there's one thing I am going to give Shaniqua, she did throw some wicked clotheslines, like damn near decapitating Scotty 2 Hotty on the apron. But other than that, she really added nothing to this match other than the person to take the pin.
Basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Shaniqua win Tough Enough at some point?
Maybe she was a runner-up. She may have been in that season with Johnny Elite and Josh Matthews.
Yeah, gosh, I don't know. I don't know all my Tough Enough lore. You guys can correct me down in the comments.
Tough Enough was a commercial failure.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Tough Enough for what it was. It was an interesting concept. It introduced us to MJF in 2015, but
I mean, if you're gonna have a competition, and I know we're getting really off topic, but if you're gonna have a competition and the winner's just gonna get released before they make it a TV, or if the winner's just gonna get the absolute shit beaten out of them by 3 angry veterans in a Royal Rumble match, then what's the point?
Exactly. We'll get to Daniel Puder in a bit, but Shaniqua, I mean, I feel like she won Tough Enough at some point, but she was not really that good in the ring. I mean, she was only good for a few clotheslines and a cup of coffee here and there.
I mean, she was a spectacle. I feel like she was Jade Cargill before Jade Cargill. She looked great. She had a lot of muscle. I mean, the gimmick was weird, but then again, WWE's is going to slap a weird gimmick on anybody.
Oh, yeah.
She really didn't add anything to this match. Like,
not really.
As a kid thinking it was cool. Again, if we're just going to go right to the finish.
I mean, I will say, though, before we get to that finish, one of my favorite parts was Scotty 2 Hotty going for his stupid worm finisher, which is like the worst finisher in wrestling history. He spells it out with the crowd, and then freaking Doug or Danny hits him with the hardest freaking clothesline of all time, and I'm like, yes! Stop that worm! Fuck that move.
That had so much setup. Why haven't they thought about that sooner?
Yeah, so much setup just for like a Great Khali like chop to the chest, basically. Yeah. That's all it's good for. But yeah, no, you were talking about the finish. Cool. Sorry.
It was only cool when him and well, no. I mean, Scotty 2 Hotty actually just made a resurgence on the indies because if you don't know, Scotty 2 Hotty is a fireman in real life, and he likes that a lot more than pro wrestling. He just made a return to the indies, and the worm got a huge fucking pop. So I'll give him that.
I don't know what it is about that move, man, but yeah.
Rikishi gets the hot tag, and he's a house of fire. He's able to get Shaniqua in the corner and then hit her with a pretty damn devastating bonsai bomb, which is basically him getting on the second rope and then him just planting all 300 pounds of that ass on top of Shaniqua's chest.
That's pretty much the whole build for this match. Was Rikishi gonna hit that bonsai drop on Shaniqua? And damn it, did he? And the crowd. The crowd in San Francisco popped huge for Rikishi doing that because
Nick Patrick has to get into the most uncomfortable, awkward position to count that 3 because
didn't he though?
Okay, here's the thing: if I'm gonna get nitpicky, technically Shaniqua was in the ropes. So
technically speaking, yeah. So yeah, good thing the Basham brothers would get a technical rematch at WrestleMania 20 to offset this, but Rikishi pinned Shaniqua. They retained the titles. I mean. As an opener, technically as a match, it wasn't really all that much. I'll give it 1 3/4 maybe for effort, but I mean, at least the crowd liked it. So
yeah, that's fair. Stone and 3/4. The SmackDown roster was not, you look at this card and was not. It needed some beef. It definitely needed some beef. All these undercard matches seem like filler. Or
part of that they had beef and Chris Benoit, but then they shipped him off to Raw. So I mean, I think that's their problem. I think they booked themselves into a corner. Not that moving Benoit to Raw was a bad move, but anyway, yeah, exactly to your point. This seemed like a lot of filler on the undercard because our next fucking match. Oh, where do I even... Holy shit, what do we got next? We have fucking Jamie Noble wrestling his ex-girlfriend Nidia, and the only stipulation is that Jamie Noble has to wrestle the match blindfolded, as the video package would describe. Nidia had a great segment on SmackDown where she revealed that stipulation, and she was really good on the mic, actually. I'm going to give her a lot of due credit. She was really fun.
In the build to this match, yeah, she actually did very good. Let's recap everything that's happened up to this point. Like we said earlier in the year, Tajiri sprayed the black mist into Nidia's face, blinding her. It makes me wonder, why isn't this feud between Noble and Tajiri? Because Tajiri's the one who started all this shit.
Right. Well, and also this was shortly after Jamie Noble and Nidia won the lottery, and they were spending a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, they spent a whole bunch of money, and it's trailer trash. I thought it was hilarious when Noble used the money to buy a brand new trailer, and they were all excited over running water.
Running water
isn't even all that special. It's just, oh my god, it's hilarious.
It was basically Cameron Grimes before Cameron Grimes became a thing on NXT 2.0.
Yeah, Noble buys Nidia a mink coat, but Noble is being a sneaky bastard, and he is using Nidia to win all of his matches. He's pulling her in the way to take bumps from like Mysterio and Tajiri to pick up wins. And you mean to tell me in a locker room filled with wrestlers, referees, production staff, security, not one single person had the decency to pull Nidia to the side and say, hey, your boyfriend is purposely putting you in the way to win matches? There's not one single decent person in that entire building.
Because apparently the baby faces have no friends in the WWE locker room, as, would become a common trope going into the mid-20 teens. But yeah, Nidia reveals that she wasn't, in fact, blind after all. She takes off those sunglasses. Jamie Noble looks like he's in a trance. Nidia then basically gets her payback, and she throws that mink coat that Jamie Noble bought her into a wood chipper. And it's just, that's a really fun segment. And now here we are with this match. Jamie Noble really does not want to put the blindfold on, but Jimmy Corderas is having none of it. He forces.
Let's remind everybody that the blindfold is a sack. It's a black sack that goes over your entire head.
Yeah, so you really can't see anything. You can't tempt yourself with untying the blindfold and everything like that. But this is it's basically your comedy match. Nidia's kicking his ass, literally kicking him in the ass. She's table-topping him, which was a fun spot. Jamie Noble just gets overly...
Yeah, Noble backs Nidia up in the corner and looks like he's about to get a big handful of you-know-what.
Yeah.
Nidia is in the corner, but he is able to, he doesn't think that she's there, even though, you can't hear her, you can't feel her breathing, you can't feel, that body heat right there. It's silly. It's all...
Oh, man. I have
all but silly.
So I watched this pay-per-view live when I was 7 years old, and I remember, watching this match and just really pulling for Nidia. And when Jamie Noble had her backed up in the corner, funny story, my innocent 7-year-old self was like, oh my god, he's right there, don't move, not knowing the context of the joke here. But, yeah.
Up to this point, this was not my favorite blindfold match. My favorite blindfold match was Triple H versus D'Lo Brown on that episode of Raw, where Triple H was screaming at nothing in the corner, and then he started punching the turnbuckle just to find out that D'Lo wasn't even there.
So funny, funny. It's certainly not up there with Rick Martel and Jake Roberts, I believe, at Mania 7.
No. And then later on, John Cena versus Sean Daivari, where Cena had to be blindfolded.
That was the You Can't See Me match. Yep. Exactly. I remember that one. Yep.
This company.
I hate this company.
I think Noble grabbed the referee thinking it was Nidia, and then Jimmy Guerrero is absolutely freaking out. It's like, no, don't touch. I'm the ref.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for a few laughs, but Jamie Noble eventually, when Nidia's up on the top rope, Jamie Noble pulls the bag up without the referee looking, and he trips Nidia up, puts her in the guillotine choke in the middle of the ring, and Nidia taps out. Jamie Noble wins while he's blindfolded.
It was interesting that he won that way, and then I realized there's no way Nidia can take a Tiger Driver 97, so that was a lot more tame. And I also like the little details, like how Noble threw Nidia off the top rope. And just to make sure it didn't look obvious that he cheated, that he kind of like feels around a little and goes, oh, there's Nidia. I'm going to slap on this submission hold real quick.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I get that it makes sense for Noble to win. But at the same time, I feel like that's a shitty blow off to this feud. Like, oh, the abusive boyfriend wins and makes the girlfriend tap out. Like, I get it. There's like there's the moral booking and then there's the realistic booking. And it's a fucked up angle in my opinion.
Would have made Nidia look like a badass if she actually won this, but she wouldn't last much longer in the company after this. I believe this is her final pay-per-view appearance, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, and that leads me to my next question. Was Nidia real or was she just this weird fever dream that I had? Because I remember her with Jamie
You
Noble.
son of a bitch.
I remember her breaking up with Noble and then fucking gone. Never saw her again. Don't know what she's up to.
And then Jamie Noble became an Asian or something like that. No, he was in a few tag teams.
Noble would continue to wrestle for another 6 years until Sheamus retired him. But then Noble just wanted to retire from wrestling in general.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Funny story. 2 years later, when Mickie James made her debut as the crazy fan, staving Trish Stratus, I thought it was Nidia. Just because.
Yeah. Yeah, just because we hadn't seen her in a while and give her a,
See the face. I couldn't see the face. I saw the hair. It looked similar. And I remember watching with my brother and my dad. And I go, holy shit, that's Nidia. And they go, who? And I go, remember Nidia? Jamie Noble's girlfriend. Like I tried to do
It's Jamie Noble, boy.
I tried to do a Noble voice and everything. And they're like, oh yeah, I remember. And then I looked, and then a week later I was like, oh fuck, that wasn't her at all.
That's not Nidia. No, I think she was definitely done with the company shortly after a short cup of coffee on the Raw brand. But I mean, at least the crowd liked this blindfold match. They were into it, but I can't really give it more than a half star.
It gets a thumbs up, not 2 thumbs up, a thumbs up.
It's a thumb in the middle, leaning more towards the.
It's fun.
Yeah, I mean it's your comedy match. What else do you expect?
As the filler continues, do we have any backstage segments before this?
Not that I'm aware of yet.
Okay, the filler continues as the the self-proclaimed world's greatest tag team. Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin take on the Acolytes Protectors Agency, the APA, Bradshaw, and Farouk. This is your basic tag team grudge match. The APA and the world's greatest tag team. We've just been butting heads on SmackDown. This would be cool if it was a #1 contenders match for the tag team titles, considering we have new champions. But no, this was just a match for the sake of having a match. And I think Bradshaw and Ron Simmons were kind of in a slump. And this would lead to the eventual what's going to happen later in Bradshaw's career. But I feel like this match was just here to kind of further that. Also, Bradshaw's arm was injured.
Yeah, so that's the whole story of the match too. I don't know if this is the match that came from the infamous segment on SmackDown where the world's greatest tag team impersonated the APA, and Charlie Haas, of course, was the one playing Farouk. I don't know. I mean, it could have been from that segment. Damn, dammity, damn. You know. I mean,
get that gimmick for another 3 years.
Yeah. You wouldn't do that gimmick full time until like 06. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, the whole story of the match is Bradshaw's arm is fucked up and he can't really perform the clothesline from hell to its fullest extent.
I feel like Tony Chimel just had something against Benjamin and Haas because the self-proclaimed was such a dick thing to say. Like,
yeah,
wrestlers that call themselves, they're the greatest this, they're the greatest that. Just because we know it's a matter of opinion. So if Benjamin and Haas want to call themselves the world's greatest tag team, why you gotta add that self-proclaimed part in there?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is self-proclaimed. I mean, they're the ones that called themselves the world's greatest tag team after they broke off from Team Angle.
At this point in the company, they were the world's greatest tag team because there was not another tag team roster that could touch Benjamin and Haas.
There were a lot of thrown together tag teams in 2004, weren't there?
There were.
Would you say they're better than the Dudley Boys, though?
That's a match we never got to saw. Never
No.
got to see. And I feel like
that's a dream match, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man. But anyway, here they are facing another Attitude Era tag team. It's a fairly basic match. The story is that APA are the powerhouse strikers, and the world's greatest tag team obviously are technicians. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't really think these two teams meshed really all that well together. I don't know if it was because Farouk was sort of on his way out at this point.
Basically, Ron Simmons, I feel like he was retiring from wrestling altogether. You know, as we saw 3 years later, Ron Simmons would come back in like a comedy role backstage, but he would rarely get in the ring, and he was kind of Bradshaw is the real story of this feud because, as infamously told by JBL himself, they basically told him before this, hey, Bradshaw, we're going to give you one more chance, and if you don't find something that works, you're fired. So he was kind of backed into a corner at this point, and I think all of those factored in just made this not a really good match.
No. I mean, the world's greatest tag team certainly tried. The APA was certainly in a slump, though. You could tell. The finish of the match, I thought, was... The finish of the match was very creative, though. You got to give these guys credit. Bradshaw hits Charlie Haas with a clothesline from hell, but Charlie Haas is not the legal man, and Bradshaw is furiously selling that arm injury so well. And it leads to Shelton Benjamin, who is the legal man, sneaking up behind JBL and rolling him up for a 3 count, and the world's greatest tag team sneak a win. It was... This is a match that could have very easily taken place on SmackDown, and it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference.
Yeah,
but
there's 3 matches on the show that could have been on SmackDown. I'm giving the nod to the blindfolded match because at least it's a gimmick. You could easily swindle someone into buying a pay-per-view over a gimmick match. You know,
every
day you see a boyfriend and a girlfriend fight, and one of them has to be blindfolded.
Mm-hmm. It's all a gimmick. It's all a gimmick at this point, like the Easter Bunny. Okay, so before we get into this next match, there's something very important we got to address here. So for the second pay-per-view in a row, there is an active member of the WWE roster who is given a front row ticket to a pay-per-view by an authority figure. Last month, that would be Mick Foley. He would wind up making a surprise appearance in the Royal Rumble. This month, because Goldberg had some beef with Brock Lesnar, Sheriff Austin gives him a front row ticket to No Way Out. How Sheriff Austin got a front row ticket to a SmackDown show, I have no idea. But Bill Goldberg... Go ahead.
Yeah. Austin gives one piece of advice to Bill Goldberg and says, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Just, encouraging, but at the same time not encouraging Goldberg. Kind of like telling him, hey, don't go to No Way Out and fuck up Brock Lesnar. Austin might as well have just turned and winked to the camera.
Don't go to No Way Out and fuck up Brock Lesnar, son.
Wink, wink.
What? Wink.
What?
You got to do the Stone Cold impression every time. But
I fucking love how dedicated they were to the brand split in 2004. So the point where Raw superstars...
Don't you miss that? Don't you miss that so much?
Yeah, I do. I miss it so much. It's not like nowadays a theory just shows up on SmackDown and nobody says anything about it.
It's not like Riddle is showing up on SmackDown every week.
Or how 5 or like 10 SmackDown wrestlers were on Raw the week before Money in the Bank. Anywho, I love that it was so like Raw superstars couldn't even go to a SmackDown show without having having a ticket to the show. It's not even saying, hey, I'm a WWE employee, I'm just going to chill backstage. They're like, no. Buy a ticket, motherfucker.
Well, I mean, it's interesting with this segment, now that you say that, which we'll get into. So, Bill Goldberg is escorted into the Cow Palace by his trademark security regiment.
Also,
And
he's
he
late
is
for the
taken.
show. That's unprofessional.
I know, right? He's taken into his front row seat. He missed the first 3 matches. Not like he was missing a whole ton after all. He sits next to this little girl fan who's just in awe of Bill Goldberg, and he gives her this big, gigantic hug. And I'm like, oh, that's nice of you, Goldberg.
Goldberg loves kids, so that was probably a joy for him. And as you see when they're showing another video package, they come up like little kids are lined up just to say hi to Goldberg, and Goldberg is more than happy to give him a high five, give him an autograph. Goldberg,
which is great.
He does this for the kids. And
that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, he shows up with a Santa's sleigh T-shirt on.
God damn it! I didn't even know what that was as a kid. I just thought that Goldberg was wearing a weird ass Santa Claus shirt in February, and then years and years and years later, Brian Zane reviewed Santa's sleigh, and I'm just like, okay,
so bad, isn't it?
Why would you cast the #1 babyface in WWE in a horror movie where he plays a demented Santa Claus going around killing people while telling Christmas puns?
Yeah.
What the fuck was wrong with them?
It's so bad. It's so horrible. But Goldberg sits front row.
I'm terrified of Goldberg if I watched that movie as a kid.
I mean, wouldn't you just be terrified of Bill Goldberg in general?
And I love how he's just proudly wearing the shirt. Like, yeah, I was in this movie.
I was in this movie, and then next year I'm gonna be in The Longest Yard, son.
With my buddies Kevin Nash and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler's a great connection. But yeah, not to get too off topic.
I called Nelly the N-word in a movie. What?
that may be another segment where we review wrestlers in movies, but
hell, I would love to do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Goldberg sits front row, right next to this little girl. Immediately, Paul Heyman's music hits, and he comes out, and he is just eyeballing Bill Goldberg like nobody else. And he's like, "You better sit down in that seat, and you will not stand up one time." And no music.
Go to the bathroom.
Exactly. What if he has to use the restroom, Paulie? You a heathen?
What if he wants to buy himself a Latino Heat shirt?
One of these? One of these?
He wants to buy one of those.
Yeah, come on, man. But okay, so so Paulie's cutting this promo, right? And Goldberg's just like, kind of snickering at him. No music hits for Brock Lesnar as he sneaks his way down the aisle. And he is just like, he's calling Goldberg out. And one thing he says that Stone Cold wouldn't do is be a little bitch. And
Stone Cold Steve Austin told you to not do anything he wouldn't do. Well, you know what Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't do? Stone Cold Steve Austin would sit in his seat for the rest of the show. Stone Cold Steve Austin would not jump over this barricade and get in the ring with me. But you know what Stone Cold Steve Austin would do? He'd sit there and be a little bitch.
That was perfect. Perfect.
I told you, I know this show like the back of my hand.
We got to get these Brock Lesnar impressions out while we still can.
Second to last time we're going to see him.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for the WrestleMania 20 review next month. But
8 years.
Yep. So Goldberg then stands up from his seat, takes his fucking shirt off in the ring. Brock takes his shirt off. They're about to fight. Paul Heyman's screaming for security. First, actually, no. He distracts Goldberg. Brock does his little shoulder ram thing in the corner. Goldberg hits a pitch perfect jackhammer on Brock in the middle of the ring, and he's fired up. He's feeding off the energy of the crowd. Paulie calls for security, who escorts him through the gorilla position. That's my nitpick with this segment. I mean, as fun as it was, Goldberg was a fan. He was not an employee. So why the fuck is he going through the gorilla position?
And then I love how Michael Cole and Taz hate Goldberg just because he's on Raw.
Yeah. Don't you?
Goldberg.
Any wrestling marks on Twitter? Don't you miss the brand split now?
Yeah, exactly.
The announcers hate the other team's wrestlers.
And then Cole and Taz are going like, good, Goldberg deserves it. I hope they lock him up in Alcatraz, because they show a shot of Alcatraz after this. And Michael Cole says, I sure hope they threw Goldberg in there. How dare he interrupt our pay-per-view? He just gave the jackhammer to our champion. Like, oh
He did. He did. It was great. It was so great. And that'll lead into another nitpick later on that I have. But
also,
yeah.
Remember how I said I don't like when champions come out before their match? This is the exception. I fucking love this.
It was such great build to a match that I cannot wait to discuss with you next month, Tomas.
100% necessary. This was like the one and only time where
I fucking love this build. Like, this made you want to see them fight at WrestleMania for real.
Oh, yeah.
Like this segment right here, pitch perfect.
And
you know, it was so good.
Next month when we talk about the greatest promo leading up.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. So, no, Goldberg is escorted. By the way, Goldberg is escorted through the gorilla position, and they play his fucking music too. Like, why? He's a fan.
How WWE hated the theme song they made for Goldberg back in 2003. They hated it so much that they dubbed his WCW theme song over all of his past WWE performances.
I didn't hate that theme song.
I
thought it was good.
When I watched the match with The Rock, I actually muted the TV and played the song on my phone so I could get it a little more authentic.
There you go. You could just pop in the DVD too. That Goldberg theme is there for sure. Anyway, speaking of wrestlers you don't want to run into a prison fight with, Bob Holly walks down the aisleway. They play his music as Brock is recovering, and because the gimmick is Brock is scared of Bob Holly breaking his neck, he runs away, and apparently Bob Holly has an impromptu match with Rhino scheduled on this card. I don't know what the build for this was. I don't know what their beef is.
This match was made 2 hours prior on Heat.
Of course it was. They needed Bob Holly on the show. He just challenged for the world title the month before.
Yes, exactly. So here we have Bob Holly versus Rhino in a match where the roles really should have been switched, because I don't think Bob Holly is ever justified in being a babyface.
No.
Rhino is more over as a babyface. This match was slow. This match was boring. This match was so boring that the commentators introduced the Spanish commentator.
They sure did, didn't they?
And they gave a whole ass 30 seconds to the Spanish commentary team.
And I couldn't understand a fucking word they were saying either.
And have they ever done that in the middle of a show?
Well, I mean, I can't really think of any other case where they did this, but
they always introduce them at the beginning of the show, or they introduce the international teams not during a match.
This crowd in San Francisco could not care any less about this match. I, for one, did not think it was terrible. I thought it was fine. It was perfectly average work in the ring. Yeah, it was there, yeah, but there was no heat. There was no heat. Rhino.
On Heat. There was heat. It was made on Heat. On Sunday Night Heat.
You bastard. You bastard. But, I mean, it's your pretty basic SmackDown match. They work a whole ass SmackDown match in there that you'd find on UPN around that point. Bob Holly he makes his comeback, hits the Alabama Slam, and wins. There's really not much to report here.
Free cable television wrestling match on a pay-per-view.
I'm pulling a Chris Lash and giving it a 2, though. I thought this match was better than the APA match.
I get that. Still generous, though. I'm giving you a 1.
Oh, how did I like this match more than you did? I don't. Maybe I'm just a big Rhino mark. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit more generous. I love Rhino.
I do too. I don't like Bob Holly though.
Yeah.
Holly, in the span of a year, is going to get another WWE Championship match. The good thing we don't have to talk about it though.
Rhino did hit a gore in this match, which was good. And there were some good near falls towards the end of this match too, leading up to the Alabama Slam. But it was there. This next match certainly was not there. Not just there though, Tomas. What was it?
Here we have Chavo Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, SmackDown 6.
Chavo's corner. Who is in Rey Mysterio's corner? But I can't even say heavyweight. Boxing champion. Jorge Paez. Who the fuck is Jorge Paez? I don't know. I didn't know who he was then. I don't know who he was now. I had to Google him to remember his name.
Yeah. He's wearing San Francisco Giants colors on the way down to the ring, which I thought was a nice little touch.
Yeah, something tells me he's a San Francisco native. He's no Oscar De La Hoya. He's
no
Manny Pacquiao. He's a boxer. Didn't know.
Could you imagine De La Hoya walking Mysterio out to the ring instead?
That would be so fucking cool. But Jorge Paez was here for one reason and one reason only, and we'll get into that later. The build-up to this match was actually pretty damn good. Somebody attacked Eddie Guerrero backstage. Rey Mysterio was really close with Eddie. He sees Chavo Jr. and Chavo Sr., and it immediately clicks in Rey's head that they're the ones who attacked him. Chavo says, no, that wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. But that attack alone has Chavo storming into Heyman's office saying, I want a shot at the Cruiserweight Championship. I'm tired of Rey Mysterio. I'm tired of his stupid mask. I'm tired of him being on the cover of SmackDown magazine, which he was on the first issue of the SmackDown magazine, the front cover. He wanted to take that Cruiserweight Championship from him. And in his own words, I'm going to beat the hell out of that jumping bean, and I'm going to take his mask.
That's a fun piece of trivia right there. Rey Mysterio was on the first ever cover issue of SmackDown magazine there.
I remember that.
He's also jealous of Rey Mysterio's music video, which was also the theme song for this pay-per-view from the WWE original CD known as Crossing Borders. Racist?
The song is kind of a bop, though.
It is.
You see the title, and it is borderline racist.
No pun intended.
Then you listen to the lyrics, and it's literally just Rey Mysterio rapping about all the places he's been in his life. So it's just like, WWE, you got to give a little context before giving a Mexican wrestler a song called Crossing Borders.
Right, and the song itself, like you said, is a nice little bop. You have a nice beat to it. Rey Mysterio has a good sense of rhythm. But Brian Zane did say that there was a dude in the background just like laughing and snickering at what Rey was saying, and he can't fucking understand the chorus.
Exactly.
And this is the theme song for this very pay-per-view.
Yeah, so all of this, the magazine cover, the song being the pay-per-view theme song, this was all just Rey Mysterio was really starting to gain traction. He's super popular with the kids. There's not a kid out there not wearing Rey Mysterio mask at this point. And Rey Mysterio brings Paez out with him to the ring because as we know, Chavo Classic likes to stick his nose where it doesn't belong.
He sure does.
To even the odds.
I don't think he was called Chavo Classic at this point yet, though, was he? I think he was still Chavo Senior.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a really good question, actually. I did not pay attention to that.
Yeah, Chavo Classic, same person, Yeah. I mean, it's just a little like, was he called Chavo Classic at this point?
So Chavo and Mysterio, I swear, every single time that they wrestle, for a fact that they don't need a script. They're
calling it in the ring.
They probably just walk up to each other in Gorilla and say, let's fucking do this. I've seen them wrestle a million times, and every single time, it's magic.
Yeah.
Maybe with the exception of SummerSlam 07, that match sucked. But then again, one bad match out of 100. You can't complain. This was not one of them. This match was excellent. And let's get the shitty part out of the way.
Here we go.
Chavo Classic does try to get involved early on in this match I think he pushes Rey off the top rope. Oh, no, that's later on in the match. But he stops Mysterio from doing an aerial assault. Jorge Paez comes up and knocks the fuck out of Chavo Classic for getting involved, thus making himself look like a total fucking dork, and the referee throws him out.
Unfucking believable. He's out there for a little cup of coffee, one of the last boxers to fight a full 15 rounds, and then the referee just sees him deck the other manager, not one of the competitors, and Jorge Paez is ejected, sent back to the locker room.
Also, keep in mind, Chavo Classic was not ejected. They just said, oh, he's knocked out.
He's knocked out! Which, that's my biggest issue with this match, and I'll get to that. But the wrestling itself is, it's so, so good. Chavo reverses a Rey Mysterio flying nothing into a gutbuster, which is just an incredible counter. Such an incredible counter.
Broke too.
Yeah, Chavo in a single leg Boston Crab, he's just working Mysterio over, and it's just It's great heat. It's great heat, man. You know, Rey Mysterio is one of the best baby faces I think ever. He really, really understands how to build up sympathy for himself. He really knows how to sell that stuff.
And him and Chavo, I mean, him with the Guerreros in general, but him and Chavo, they always said on commentary, nobody zeroes in on a body part like Chavo does. And Chavo was just working over that knee this entire match. He is coming up with so many creative submission holds in this match, even to the point where Taz and Michael Cole are having a friendly debate over what he has on Mysterio. It's kind of a half Boston Crab, but Chavo has his knee digging into Mysterio's back. And they're trying to debate over whether it's a half Boston Crab or if it's this or that. I miss that in my commentary. I miss commentators talking about professional wrestling.
Yeah, and not just arguing.
Some stupid TV show that's coming on after Raw, not after whatever segment. It's talking about what's going on in the match.
Not about whatever social media platform is trending worldwide. You know, I mean, there's some great near falls in this. Rey Mysterio DDTs Chavo on the fucking apron, which looked nasty. Props to Chavo for taking that move.
Did you know that is, I don't know if you know this, that is the hardest part of the ring.
It sure is. It sure is. The commentators tell me that all the time nowadays, but back then they really sold that devastation.
Shout out to my homie Greg Morgan for telling me that. Never would have known it.
Yes. 619, Mysterio goes for the West Coast Pop. Chavo rolls into a single leg Boston Crab once again, which is fantastic. Rey Mysterio goes back up for the West Coast Pop, and here's my problem. Chavo Classic, after getting knocked out, is back up again. And he fucking knocks Mysterio off the top rope. Chavo rolls him up with a big handful of tights to win the Cruiserweight title. Chavo Classic comes in handy here. Jorge Paez was pretty much useless, basically, because he decked Chavo Classic, and he just got right back up.
It makes you wonder. I get it. They probably wanted him there for the San Francisco Pop. But if you're going to advertise him weeks before the show and like kind of make it a big deal just for him to get ejected 5 minutes into the match and just for his role to not even play a factor into the finish.
And that wasn't even, yeah, that's part of the issue. But the thing is, imagine if you take Big Show's knockout punch and you just get like right back up, not even 5 minutes later.
Exactly, yeah. And also,
you got to sell that shit.
I could maybe understand a little more if Jorge Paez pulled Chavo Classic off the apron, knocked him out, and that was enough for a distraction for Chavo to get a low blow or for him to hit Mysterio with the belt or hit him with the chair. That would have made a lot more sense, in my opinion. But it just made Jorge Paez look like a huge dweeb. This is the only time you will ever see him in WWE. It's not like we're going to get Rey Mysterio versus Jorge Paez or Jorge Paez versus Chavo Guerrero. Which
yeah, I just thought overall, even though this is
a little, celebrity match, but nonetheless.
Yeah, this is a very good match, though. Nevertheless, I'm going to give it 3 3/4 stars. These two would have better matches than this later on in the year and going into 2006. But I feel like
worked the Great American Bash and kind of a throw. I don't want to say thrown together, but it's very impromptu. Like it was made 2 nights before the pay-per-view, and they fucking tore it up in that show too.
And that match was better than this, in my opinion.
Fair. You could give Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero 30 minutes notice that they're going to wrestle, and they will tear it up.
Oh, yeah. And it's not like they didn't tear it up in this match, because you had some great counter wrestling in here, but I feel like overall, as a consistent story, it just didn't really add up. Chavo Classic getting knocked out only for him to get right back up and factor into the finish. Like,
do you remember the days where I felt like this was a celebrity appearance that WWE felt like this was a chore for them to get him involved? Nowadays, the fucking celebrity has to be the centerpiece.
Fuck that noise. I mean, I can't wait to rant about the Miz's opponent at SummerSlam in a couple weeks.
There's going to be a lot of screaming going on in my living room on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But after the match, Josh Matthews and his Frosted Tips interviewed Chavo Guerrero, the new champion. And he's like, I told you I was going to beat Rey Mysterio because I'm a winner. Conveniently, they are right outside his Uncle Eddie's locker room. And he's like, not like this guy right here. He's a loser. He's addicted to losing. I'm working on it. Bear with me. But He calls himself the real champion of the Guerrero family, which is interesting. It's interesting he says that, but
he's also making fun of his Uncle Eddie's addiction, saying he's an addict. He's saying, you know what that means? That means he has a monkey on his back, and he is just totally tearing down Eddie. You know, you think the problems are over, but Chavo is still right there to rub salt into the wound. More on that later. The prophecy is about to be fulfilled.
It sure is. But before we get to that, since Chris Benoit moved to Raw, the WWE Champion needs a #1 contender for WrestleMania, and here it is being determined in a triple threat match. Kurt Angle, The Big Show, and John Cena. Huge pop for Kurt Angle on his way out to the ring. Big Show... Go ahead.
Of the tape because Angle...
Oh, I thought you were going to... Okay, no, go ahead.
All these accomplishments. Former WWE Champion, Olympic gold medalist, you know, NCAA champion. Big Show, former WCW champion, former ECW champion, current United States champion, former tag team champion, former WWE champion, world class athlete, John Cena, PhD in thugonomics. His one accomplishment, and it's not even real. That's like saying CEO at Apple, vice president of the Windows, fry cook at the Krusty Krab. One of these things is not like the other.
No. Could you imagine if this match took place 5 years later? Could you imagine all the accomplishments John Cena would have had in addition to having that PhD?
Exactly. I still want that.
Just keep in mind.
Hall of Fame. I wanted to say 16-time world champion, the 3-time United States champion, 2-time Royal Rumble winner, PhD in thugonomics.
Former face of the company. PhD in thugonomics.
Yeah, I just want it right in the middle too, so you have to read it down. Right
20 years of excellence, X amount of WrestleMania main events, PhD in thugonomics.
PhD in thugonomics. And then right after that, over 500 wishes granted at Make-A-Wish.
500 wishes granted, PhD in thugonomics. I mean, I can keep going. You know, of course, you know, logically, that's what you got to go back on. That's your backup plan. You know, if it
acting.
Keeping in mind, John Cena had never won a championship at this point. So what else were they going to put on there? PhD in thugonomics. Fucking of course. You know, if wrestling doesn't work out, if wrestling does not work out for John Cena, at least he has thugonomics to...
When Cena's done acting and he for sure cannot wrestle again, I'm going to walk into a classroom and it's going to be Cena wearing some glasses. Cat, bat, cat, rat. That's your homework for tonight, kids.
His rhyming lessons. Oh.
Anywho.
I fucking hate this company. Anyway.
Speaking of raps, Cena has a really good one tonight.
He does. He really, really does. One of his best lines, because Kurt Angle got attacked on a SmackDown, and John Cena was a prime suspect, and Cena constantly denies it, and here he is denying it again. Here's a really big clue. He's 500 pounds, he smells like crap, and he's standing right next to you.
I mean, to give Cena credit, he was right. If he is going to attack Kurt Angle, it ain't going to be from behind. And I feel like that was the whole build to this triple threat. I don't really feel like this triple threat needed heat. It's for the WWE Championship. That all should matter. It matters so much
title
that
shot.
The United States Champion is in this match, and the title is an afterthought. That title doesn't even exist here. It's about getting a shot at the WWE Championship. So I feel like all of that shit was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, like, you kind of, I don't know, man. I mean,
also,
you're right to an extent.
Did you know that No Way Out is John Cena's home? Check the chain and the lock.
It sure is. Sure is. Yeah, it is.
Hang on his every word. Big Show and Angle can swing from his.
Hold the mic up.
I didn't know what he was referring to when I was little. The word was cock.
Absolutely. Of course. You know, logically. What else would it be? He has a PhD in thugonomics, so it's got to rhyme. You know? It's got to rhyme. So I'm sure all those fans, knowing what word was coming next, probably have a PhD in thugonomics as well.
We do. Apparently it's really easy to get.
Yeah.
I have a PhD in thugonomics.
Hell, I have whatever's above a PhD in thugonomics, if that's the case.
A master's? No way.
I thought a master's was the. We're missing the point here. This was a good triple threat match.
No, this is the point.
John Cena is watching Big Show and Kurt Angle fight in the ring, and Kurt Angle says, "Here, you take a turn fighting the Giant."
I don't know if he said that. It was a lot more colorful than that. I remember watching that as a kid and going, "God damn, Angle in his sailor mouth." He looks at Cena and says, "Why don't you get your fucking ass over there and fight him then?"
Yeah.
Angle was pissed.
Oh yeah, no, Kurt is. I'm pissed off. Kurt Angle is like the best Kurt Angle to me because he can either come off extremely dorky and comedic, or he can come off like a legitimate badass. Here he came off more like a legitimate badass.
A legitimate psychopath. We'll get to that in a couple years.
Kurt Angle promos in 2005. I hate those. So yeah, it's a well worked match for the most part. The crowd is certainly into it. They certainly feel the stakes. John Cena, by the way, is working this match with a torn MCL. So joking aside, John Cena is a fucking superhuman working this match with a torn ligament in his knee.
Couldn't even tell. The only thing I noticed, he's wearing a knee brace. Couldn't even tell.
You know, I feel like if any one of us had John Cena's healing powers, I feel like we'd all have the power to be immortal. Like John's.
Deadpool fears John Cena because Cena's healing factor is a lot stronger than his.
He's unbelievable, isn't he? Deadpool fears the Peacemaker. I just put two and two together. Yeah. So basically, your finish comes around. Big Show's dominating. You know, everybody's playing their part pretty well. Big Show is angle slammed over the top rope. John Cena is locked in an ankle lock. And Kurt Angle grapevines that, and it's on the bad knee, mind you. John Cena taps out in the middle of the ring, clean as a whistle. A sentence you never will hear me say again.
Yeah, I don't think it ever happened again after Angle. And put this into perspective, in the span of 2 years, Kurt Angle made John Cena and Hulk Hogan tap out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's another person on the planet can say that they did that.
No, absolutely not. I can't think of another one. I certainly can't. But very, very good triple threat match. I thought it was very well worked. It was certainly very dramatic, very physical triple threat match as well. Kurt was bleeding at some point out of his nose. And just very stiff.
Fun segments. I mean, not the best triple threat match in the world, but there were some fun parts. There's the iconic shot of Kurt Angle trying to German suplex Big Show off of the apron.
Yeah, tried to do the same thing at the Rumble, didn't he?
Yeah, don't know what Angle's thinking. That's not possible. But
no,
3 1/4. This was fun. They got the.
I'll match it. 3 1/4.
Angle now gets a shot at the WWE Championship, and that leads. And who does that leave left? John Cena and the United States Champion. Hint, hint.
Yeah. See us next month.
I remember seeing that as a kid and going, well, Cena and Big Show don't have opponents for Mania. Why don't they just fight each other? Even me as a 10-year-old could book better than the WWE nowadays.
They could book about as well as you can, because that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did. Okay, let's get to the big kahuna of this show.
Here we go. Man, I have so many thoughts and so many memories and so many feelings with this match. It's Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. How did we get to this point? Paul Heyman was so furious that Benoit had the gall to jump ship from SmackDown to Raw to challenge Triple H for his World Heavyweight Championship. And remember, Benoit only jumped ship because Triple H and Ric Flair were pushing his buttons. They were telling him, you won't come to Raw and challenge me for the championship. You can't do that. Even if you did, I would annihilate you. And Benoit said, you want to bet? So Benoit packed his bags, left the blue brand, went to Monday Night Raw. Heyman is furious that he just lost one of his big stars. So we said, okay, fine. If Benoit's going to steal my Royal Rumble winner, I'll just make my own. A 15-man Royal Rumble match on free network television on an episode of SmackDown. A whole 30 to 45 minutes was put to the side for this. And I remember loving this so much as a kid. 15 SmackDown superstars coming out 90 seconds at a time. Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle were the last ones in this match, and Eddie Guerrero won the match, and he earned a shot at the WWE Championship at No Way Out.
Yep. After Kurt Angle entered that match at number 1, by the way, and lasted the whole time.
Yeah.
The only time Kurt would ever pull off an Iron Man performance in a Royal Rumble in his entire career. And I loved that match as a kid, too. It's a hidden gem.
An iconic, and I mean iconic promo. An iconic interaction between Brock Lesnar and Eddie Guerrero a couple weeks later, where Lesnar just saying, you can't be the WWE champion, you're an addict. And Eddie is so tired of hearing this that he says it. You know what? You're right. I am an addict. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and it's a promo that a lot of people, even nowadays, can take a lot from. He said that he made a lot of mistakes. He let his family down. He let his friends down. He let his fans down. He literally hit rock bottom, and he had to scratch and fight and claw every single day to earn everything he got back. Getting back to the WWE, earning back the admiration of his friends and his family, earning back the admiration of his fans. And Eddie says he is an addict, but he's only addicted to one thing, and that's the high he gets from the fans. And that is one of my favorite promos of all time. It is
Me
just
too,
so
man.
Brilliantly said.
Oh, I miss Eddie Guerrero every day. I mean,
Me too.
Oh, man, that promo is one of many reasons why he was that damn good.
That promo alone sparked the phrase from Eddie Guerrero, "addicted to the heat."
It's certainly, yeah, it's on the back of this T-shirt right now. And he told Brock, point blank, you're not getting Eddie Guerrero at No Way Out. You're going to get Latino heat. And he just is
Go into it.
so good.
Go
It's certainly a lot better than Brock coming out with a whole ass mariachi band on SmackDown.
Oh my God, I remember that too. The build for this match was perfect. And can you believe it? Well, here's the thing. I don't think I can blame myself as a kid, because even if they booked the match to the similar caliber today, as a kid, I looked at this match. I didn't think Eddie Guerrero was going to win.
I didn't either. I didn't think Eddie stood a chance.
I thought Eddie Guerrero was just another victim in Brock Lesnar's path. So going through this match, it's absolutely incredible. It's a big fight feel. Eddie Guerrero comes out to the lowrider, and the match starts, and this is a technical masterpiece. It's a psychological masterpiece, and the storytelling is on another fucking level.
God, it's honestly, I mean, this is one of my favorite WWE Championship matches of all time, because you certainly feel that big fight.
Hold for hold, move for move, and strike for strike. Every single thing in this match felt like it had a purpose.
This crowd is also in the Cow Palace behind Eddie Guerrero every step of the way. They wanted him to win this so badly. They knew how hard he fought to get to this main event. Brock is basically being your powerhouse here. He's hitting some stiff fucking power bombs on Eddie, man. And he's taking a lot of punishment.
Clotheslines. And the main story of this match is every time Eddie Guerrero tries to get a little bit of offense going, Lesnar snuffs it out. Clotheslines, suplexes, belly to bellies. Even Lesnar's submission holds were deadly. If it was like a simple abdominal stretch or a simple just backwards bear hug, it looked like Eddie Guerrero was literally fighting for his life in this match.
It's the easiest story you can tell. It's David versus Goliath here, physically speaking. Eddie was...
Lesnar said something during the match that... He says two things during this match, but he said something that you really liked, and it was right before Eddie Guerrero really started taking the heat.
He said, torture time, Eddie. And I'm like, I mean, how come that did not get trademarked? How come Brock did not get a torture time t-shirt?
That would have been so freaking cool. Also, this match was just absolutely incredible. Lesnar is just, oh my God, I was going to make a point and I totally forgot, but knee deep into this match, through all the punishment, this comment, I still get chills from this day, because Lesnar can't put Eddie down after so many moves, and he is so frustrated at this point that he just sets up and says, die, Eddie, just die. Let that sink in.
Let it sink in, and it doesn't make it any less uncomfortable.
No,
especially looking at it in hindsight.
I watched this match after he died, and I remember seeing that, and I like literally shivers.
Yeah. So they're wrestling for a long time, and it's just awesome. Eddie's selling the ribs. Brock was getting his knee worked over a lot in this too, and he took a sick ass bump over the top rope, hitting his knee on the top buckle and just like taking a totally unsafe like tumble to the outside, just crash landing. I don't know how Brock had a tendency to do like a bunch of really unsafe stuff around the Ruthless Aggression era, like the shooting star press, but I don't feel like that spot really gets enough due attention because
no. There's also some interesting things like early on in the match when Eddie Guerrero starts working over the knee, he tries to slam the knee against the ring post, but Lesnar puts his other foot on the ring post and with all of his strength just pulls Eddie into the ring post, and just that was a nasty thud too.
Yes.
Again, every single thing in the match felt like it had purpose.
Eddie attempted to put the figure 4 on so many times, but Brock's legs are literally like gigantic pine tree trunks, and Eddie's too small to put the figure 4 on him. And he finally does, and it's a freaking medical miracle how this happens. Brock is in the figure 4, and he's just agonizing. He's in agony here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But eventually, Brock hits the F5, and Guerrero's his calf hits the referee right in the head, and the referee goes down. So Brock, being the heel that he is, goes and grabs the Undisputed Championship belt. And who runs out, Tomas?
This is the most controversial take of this match, and I'm going to go on a huge rant about it.
Here we go.
Goldberg makes his return in the match, and a huge ovation, a huge pop. Michael Cole says, "What the hell is Goldberg doing here?" Goldberg hits a spear onto Lesnar, and Cole is just absolutely beside himself. Goldberg just speared our champion. And then Goldberg leaves the ring, and Eddie Guerrero, the champion is down. The challenger is down. The referee is down. Michael Cole is absolutely beside himself. Eddie Guerrero goes for the pin, and Lesnar kicks out. If there is anybody that still says Eddie Guerrero only won because of Goldberg, there's your fucking proof that he did it.
Exactly. Thank you.
Kicked out of the spear. And I could not stand when everybody said that. Eddie only won the title because of Goldberg. Eddie only won the title because of Goldberg. No, he fucking didn't.
He didn't.
No, he didn't.
But Goldberg also did not need to be out here for this match because he was arrested. Remember, he was arrested. I mean, I feel like if I were rebooking this real quick, if I could like just enlighten you guys for a second. Imagine if Brock comes out there after that infamous promo that we will save for the WrestleMania 20 pod. He cuts that promo and he gets a rematch against Eddie on that episode of SmackDown. Goldberg then can come out and cost him the title at that time. Like you can just save that for later. I feel like that's my only nitpick behind this match because it's damn near perfect. But
I understand that, or also take away the Goldberg interference in this match, and then Lesnar could have just came out on SmackDown and said, "Oh, well, I only lost the title because Goldberg attacked me earlier on in the show." I feel like they already made their point with the promo, but I didn't necessarily hate it here. I just don't like when people said Eddie only won the title because of Goldberg.
Which is not true. Which is absolutely not true. It's a great near fall, though. Brock kicks out of the spear. Eddie, I believe he went for the belt. Brock goes for an F5. And then Eddie hits a beautiful counter tornado DDT right on the undisputed title. And Taz is yelling at the top of his lungs, "Eddie Chin!"
But here's the thing. Michael Cole keeps saying, DDT on the gold, DDT on the gold, DDT on the championship gold. But if you watch that, Lesnar's head is nowhere near the belt.
If anything, Brock's head hit like one of those little side plates, which would still be painful. It would still be fucking painful. But like...
I get it. That's a hard spot to pull off. Eddie Guerrero spinning Lesnar's head to land directly on the title belt. Yeah, but it's still cool nonetheless. And then Eddie Guerrero goes up for, I want to say, probably the best frog splash of all time. And he just flies halfway through the ring. He spins around so he lands right on Lesnar. 1, 2, 3.
The crowd explodes.
Never in my wildest dreams. And Eddie Guerrero, I have watched this match so many times, and I still just love seeing Eddie Guerrero announced as your new WWE champion. It's like if you could freeze time, I would go back and just live in that moment for a week.
It's a moment that I didn't think was ever going to happen. As a kid, I was like, is Vince going to put the title on Eddie? And sure enough, he did. The crowd was begging to have Eddie Guerrero in the main event. And this is a guy who scratched and clawed his way through not just, the undercard, but his own personal demons to get up here.
And then I think about it, years later, and I think I only watched Eddie Guerrero wrestle for 3 years. How could a wrestler impact me and influence me in such a short amount of time when he was just, not doing much in 02, won the U.S. title in 03, did a cool tag team run, and then literally 2 years in, he wins the WWE Championship, and he became my favorite wrestler.
He was a once-in-a-generation talent. This is his easily his crowning achievement.
Yeah.
Every time I watch this match and I get those memories back from when I was a kid, I tear up.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a cathartic moment. He's hugging his mom at ringside. He's hugging his brother Mondo in the front row. He gets the California Golden State flag right there, which is interesting because Eddie's from El Paso, which is in Texas.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, it's still a really neat moment, a really neat visual. Eddie, like, as soon as he gets that 3 count, he hops into a big section of the crowd on the floor right here against the hard cam. And the security's trying hard to get him out of there, but Eddie's like, "No, Holmes, let me celebrate." And it's like, that just speaks to who Eddie was.
It's a little corny at the end because the last thing Michael Cole says before they go off the air is, "Good for you, Eddie." It's like,
good for you. I mean, he was doing real well until that point. I mean, but
yeah.
I mean, it's a 5 stars, man.
5-star match.
I'm going 4 3/4. I want to go 5. I really want to go 5, but that Goldberg interference is holding it back for me.
I get it.
It's
5 stars.
It's this close. It's one of my favorite WWE title matches of all time. But now, let me tell a quick story. I don't really have many regrets in my life. But I'm going to make a quick confession. I was this close to going to No Way Out 2004. And for some reason, I had gone to a house show when I was like 6 years old, and I was just sitting there thinking about it because my dad could have taken me very easily to No Way Out 04 because it was in San Francisco. It's only about an hour and a half away from me.
Yeah.
And I said no. I didn't think I was ready to be at a live event at that point. And in hindsight, thinking about what happened to Eddie Guerrero, not even 2 years later, man, I wish I was there for him. I really, really do.
I get that. And I get that. That's why I'm so happy that I got to own the tape as a child, because I think after it set in, like 2 days after he died, that's the first thing I did. I popped in No Way Out 04 and I wanted to watch him win the championship again. Since we're on the subject, I remember, so Eddie died when I was 11 years old. Yeah, I was 11 years old. And, going to school as a kid, I got picked on a lot for liking wrestling. And I mean a lot, to the point where, like, people would just say shit just to fuck with me with wrestling. I remember in middle school, like, this kid said, like, "Oh, why is Tomas upset? Is he mad because Rey Mysterio beat John Cena?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck you guys." But I remember getting to school that day, and people were telling me, Eddie Guerrero died. Eddie Guerrero died. Eddie Guerrero died. And they were, like, laughing about it. And I was like, guys, that's not cool. Like, don't fuck around with something like that. So I brushed them off. And then I remember, I don't know if I was going to lunch or if I was getting off of school, but my teacher pulled me to the side and he said, "Hey, what's about this wrestler named Eddie Guerrero who died?" And my heart dropped. And I go, "I don't know, but I'm going to go home and find out." So I remember school got off. I power walked home. And in my mind, I'm like, what happened to Eddie? I jumped on my desktop computer. I went to www.com, and what do I see? And big, ginormous letters on the screen. Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. Viva la raza. And my heart sank like a rock. And I'm like, what?
Man.
As a kid.
I mean, that's still, we still have a lot of Eddie Guerrero to enjoy on this retro.
Yeah, but it's like,
yeah,
we're on the subject of it. It's just like, I couldn't comprehend it as a kid, but I remember watching the tribute show with my parents that night, and they knew who Eddie Guerrero was. They watched wrestling with me, and we were just like, me and my brother were just like, he's really gone. Huh.
Yeah.
Like, we literally watched him on SmackDown the Friday prior, you know, that match with Mr. Anderson. And I'm just like,
shouldn't be burying a guy that's that young either. So
no.
Never.
It was just like, huh. So yeah, that's damn. We may need to do a whole podcast just dedicated to Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Like,
and our favorite Eddie Guerrero moments. This is up there though. Him winning at No Way Out 2004.
Yeah,
bam.
Just like talking about where the fuck were we when Eddie Guerrero passed away? Because that was like,
I can tell you exactly where I was. I was leaving a party at my best friend Andrew's house, who also was a big wrestling fan. And it was on that Sunday, November 13th. I remember it. And my dad like would pull up Pro Wrestling Torch sometimes. And he was like, Zack, another wrestler died. And I had gotten used to you know, hearing about wrestlers' deaths and like in the news and all that. Like I'd heard about Mr. Perfect's death. I'd heard about Road Warrior Hawk. I heard about like Miss Elizabeth, you know, through the TV. And Boss Man, yeah. I mean, I don't even think
SmackDown there was a page dedicated to his memory.
Yeah, so, I don't even remember like seeing like a little in memoriam of a Ray trailer before a SmackDown, but I'm sure there was. But I was like, oh, is it another like old wrestler? Is it like a JYD or something like that? Even though he was already dead by that point, you know, because I was a naive little kid, I didn't know any better.
Yeah,
and he was like, no, it was Eddie, and I'm like, what? Come again? I read the PW Torch, and sure enough, clear as day, that's where it is. And I'm like, shit, he's gone.
I remember watching both tribute shows on Raw and SmackDown, and those two are like two of the best Raw and SmackDowns I've ever seen in my life. Shawn Michaels and Rey Mysterio. John Cena and Randy Orton, for the very first time, mind you.
Yeah.
Triple H versus Batista.
Triple H versus Benoit. Triple H versus Benoit in the main event.
Benoit.
Batista Batista just had a promo. Batista had a promo. Batista like had a bum shoulder, so he was kind of resting it.
With the championship. Oh, I remember tearing up as a kid when John Cena took the Eddie Guerrero shirt off, put it in the ring, and put the championship on there, because Lillian Garcia, literally right before that match, had said that Eddie told her that he would be WWE champion again one day, and Cena was like, yeah, you are the WWE champion. Oh,
yep. Damn, man. I mean, he was WWE champion at No Way Out 2004, and we got a lot more Eddie to enjoy, thankfully.
No Way Out 2004, though, despite my nostalgia, 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna go 7 too. I'm gonna match it.
Also, despite there being a damn near perfect match on this show, this was still a build-up pay-per-view to WrestleMania.
Oh yeah. Oh, easily. You know, you had a number one contenders match on this show, which was admittedly very physical and very fun. You had a really, really good Cruiserweight title match, which was bogged down by some inconsistent storytelling. And one of my personal favorite WWE title matches of all time, which still makes me tear up to this very day with the finish. Which, again, I mean, Eddie Guerrero deserves all the credit in the world for that match. That is his number one crowning achievement in his life, for sure. But don't discredit Brock Lesnar for the work he put into that match. I feel like that is one of Brock Lesnar's best matches of his entire career. That was the only time Brock and Eddie would ever wrestle one-on-one, too.
Only time.
Yeah. Could you imagine, like, if Eddie were still around at that point and if Brock had never left, how many other classics they would have had at, like, the Great American Bash? Or at, maybe not SummerSlam.
Even? Yeah.
Yeah.
To end this on a lighter note, Damn, what was I gonna say? Wow, that's really embarrassing, man. I forgot what
I just threw you off terribly.
No. You're good. You're good. I'm sure it'll come to me later, like at 3 a.m.
Probably. But, you know, while I'm at it, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like good wrestling commentaries and wrestling podcasts over here. And we're trudging right.
This Saturday, we have a very fun surprise for you guys. Very fun surprise indeed. So stay tuned for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're of course gonna be talking about SummerSlam. We're gonna be talking about. I'm sure Tomas is very excited to torture me again, with the SummerSlam.
And the man standing Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns.
Don't
has the briefcase.
Don't fucking remind me.
This is a fucking recipe for disaster, if you ask me.
You don't say. But yeah, so lot of exciting things that we can talk about, folks. I'm sure there's some AEW stuff that we can discuss over here. But yeah, hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. WrestleMania 20 should be coming next month as well to continue the Ruthless Aggression Retro. We'll also be putting up a poll for a Retro SummerSlam as well. It's going to be a show before the year 2000 as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what you lovely viewers pick for us. So, yeah, commence that back talk. Let us know what you thought of No Way Out 2004 down in the comments, and keep loving the entertainment, guys.